Okay, so as we've already discussed, we want to set up an FTP server that's going to allow us to connect, upload files, make modifications to files instead of using Nano or some other text editor or Linux text editor. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and install Pro FTP. So again, the installation process is fairly simple. We just go ahead and get this Pro FTP D package. So let's hit enter there. That will do its thing and install everything. And we want to say we want to run it standalone. And we'll wait for that to finish. Done. Simple as that. So now it's installed. We have, our server's now running, so it's done. But we want to go ahead and change things like the server name. In fact, we'll need to do that. We'll change the server name, and we also need to talk about the permissions or the access that users have. So let's go ahead and use Nano. And we're going to go over to ECT Pro FTPD and proftpd.conf. Oops, maybe Pro FTPD. There we go. Lovely. So we've got server name, server type. So server name, I'm just going to go ahead and use our server IP. But obviously, if you have a domain name set up, it's this is what you're going to have in here. Let's just go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, cool. So if we come down a bit, we're going to see some of the... Here we go. So let's just go ahead and uncomment this default route out. And I'm going to go ahead and set that to var www, which is our public Apache directory. I'm going to go ahead and save that and exit. And we'll need to restart before we do anything else as well. So we're going to say sudo service pro ftpd restart. This is actually a good tip. We haven't already spoken about this, but if we want to restart any service, we can do so using the service command. So we can restart Apache 2 if we want. There we go, that's all okay. But in this case, we've just made a change to the Pro FTPD configuration file. So we hit enter, that stops it, and then it will start it back up again. Lovely. So let's go ahead and see if anything's gone wrong here. Let's go ahead and connect to our server. Now, one thing to note about this is going to take all of the users and permissions that you currently have on your setup, on your Linux machine. So in this case, I can just go ahead and connect with the username and password that I supplied. So if I enter, everything goes right. Perfect. So we're now inside the var www directory. We've got index.php that we created earlier. I can go ahead and view, edit that, and that's going to bring up my text editor, which I can just bring over. There we go. And that's it. You can see that I've got the code that I wrote earlier. I can go ahead and change this. So for example, if I wanted to change this to count to 100, save that, minimize that, and click yes to upload that file. File transfer. We've got permission denied. Perfect. So this gives us an opportunity to go on and set file permissions. So at the moment, the user isn't part of the group that's allowed to access everything here. So we've already set the default route to var www, that's fine. But now, what we now want to do is return back to our terminal, and we want to add the user that we're currently working with, which is Alex. I'm going to add him to www data, that group. So I'm going to say sudo add user, and choose the user I want to add, and I want to add this to www data. Enter. Done. It's done. So now what we want to do is set some permissions. So let's say sudo chown data oops var www. Okay, that's the first one. What we now want to do is use chmod, and we want to say the permissions that we want to give and where we want to give them. There we go. So now let's go ahead and view edit. Change this to 100. Back here, click yes. Permission error. That's odd. Right, so let's just take a look at... here we go. So we're going to need this flag here. There we go. Right, so let's give that a go again. And let's go ahead and edit this. Oops, change that to 100 and hit yes. Perfect. So we now got a successful file transfer. Go ahead and hit refresh, and then we count to 100 instead of counting to 10. Okay, cool. So really the next step for a working server is to just get the, well, not a working server, but you know, something that's a bit more pleasant would be to get away from using this IP address to access our server and use a domain name instead. So we'll go ahead and briefly discuss that in the next step. It's mainly up to you to set stuff on your domain registrar's side, but we'll look at this and we'll discuss this briefly in the next video.